and I can get to you guys a lot earlier. So the lives will end up being quite early, which will connect with you guys in America and other places of the world. And, in the morning, I usually get up and, have a bit of meditation, take a little bit of time. And now my partner's calling me, and I kind of figured it would go that way. And I was going to just have a quick chat about some of my predictions about 2022. Now, I think it's quite ironic because one of the first things that I did see was a post which I did post in the community tab, and we are just moving through the full moon in Pisces. Which I did put a few photos up, and Dawn actually shared some photos with me, so I'll ask if I can share them. Hi. And I wanted to talk about some of the predictions because I have started getting ready for the magazine and, writing up the zodiac signs, which is going to be very separate. That's going to be through the website. And just looking at some of the aspects, it really dawned on me, both with the full moon in Pisces, it's 12th house. Now, 12th house can be our subconscious mind. It's currently in the house of Neptune, which it is making really beautiful aspects, but we really have to release, and you'll have a lot of creative ideas, I'll say that. So the creative ideas, really tune into them, journal, trust the process. You'll need to have more fluid, to keep you hydrated, so to speak. And we can, with the 12th house, get a little bit disillusioned. The shadow sign of Pisces is Virgo. So, we can get into our monkey mind, and we've had our time to meditate upon these things. And, for some of us, especially for Aquarians, there can be difficult times that we're moving through because we're in a 2021 is a number 5 year, which is all about change. Next year, it's going to be a number 6, which is all to do with considering other people, having empathy, listening more, understanding, spiritually growing. But again, all these challenges we've been having, spiritually, it's very spiritual, but it can be blockages. So you might get to a point you're looking at your habits and your routines and your health and your mind and some of those creative ideas you've had and what you're going to do with them. But you can, with Neptune, accidentally at times get a little bit disillusioned and feel you can't see the hay for the clouds. It is a creative place, though, and it is one of those spaces that it does help solve a lot of problems. 12th house, we're all going to have, it's all in a zodiac sign in some place, but this lady had, which I've shared it in the community tab, she's quite famous. She talks about her being sober for 5 years, ironically enough, which having Pisces there, it can be to do with alcohol and, using substances and tools to cope with our demons. So I have put that up there for any of you who want to watch it very separately because we do have Uranus and Taurus. I am seeing themes both psychically and astrologically that next year, the way we have cosmetics is going to change. The way we use our makeup. Now, it can go in two paradigms. So number one, it can be that it's very earth-based. It's very natural. It's very organic, really using things that are quite subtle, especially because we have been at home. We're being more practical with what we use. But there can also be huge scientific breakthroughs in the cosmetic industry. Another thing I'm picking is that it could be quite sci-fi. So you might notice different artists at the moment coming up, and that can be because we're going to be having those final eclipses soon in Sagittarius. The movement in the music industry can start moving. The movement in the it can be journalism. You can really see momentum happening there. So any of you, wherever you had Sagittarius in your zodiac sign, you'll start finding that from September moving forward, there's a bit more headway, there's a bit more movement happening with that area because we are moving to the final stage of the South Node being in Sagittarius. So, people that are in sports, people that are in media, journalism, advertising, it's been quite tense over the last 2.5 years. It's been quite difficult, and yes, some of those themes can roll over into 2022, but at the moment it has almost been, we've had to move towards that north node of Gemini, which is communication. It's looking at schools, you know, our actions and our words actually meaning something, and taking direct movement into it. And it's almost being like we've had to be a jack of all trades, trying to do many things, and really feeling you can't see the hay for the clouds. So I do see a lot of neon coming through. I also see, and I watched the Met Gala, and a lot of those sci-fi themes were coming through already. And it is because we do have Uranus and Taurus. Now, Uranus and Taurus, it is, it's really groundbreaking. Ironically enough, we also have Apple launching the Apple 13, which is coming through around the time that we are going into Mercury retrograde in Libra. So there can be some delays with maybe the delivery of those situations. There can be contracts that they're currently dealing with that could be a bit iffy, that they're having dramas with. But they are, you know, technology point blank zero is really quite going to blow up. It is going to be quite large and innovative, and really out there, so to speak. So I do predict that the best is yet to come with Apple, but there could be a few dramas over the next few months, and that's only because we are moving through the retrograde. The beautiful thing is in their chart is that they do have Cancer placements in their chart, and the Cancer placements are really guiding them towards, you know, getting their products, high Eddie, into a local home, you know, not just for a person that can really, you know, fork out $2,000. It's really coming down to the modern home, to the local schools, where it's going to be like an in-home brand, so to speak. And it really is quite a quality product. So it's unique that they're gearing it towards that Cancerian zodiac sign, which is family, home. The Uranus placement and the Neptune placement for them does mean that sometimes it can kind of feel, you know, for families, it's like, oh, would this device, would this product line be, you know, good? It's groundbreaking. It kind of changes the home environment, so to speak. But again, it is changing and molding and becoming part of that home environment. So there can be a lot more items that potentially they launch that can be home-based. So I am seeing, especially Australia, hi True Heart, any, which I have started saving the astrological zodiac sign birth charts per country. So if you do have a question about a particular country you're in, feel free, and I'll add it to my list so that I can have a chat to you guys here and there about what the themes are per country. One of them that is coming up will be Australia, ironically enough, and I'm in Australia. And that's because we have Uranus and Taurus, and it's also because we do next year have the North Node in Taurus. So I do predict that there can be things to do with trade, things to do with agriculture, technology, can be cosmetics, but you're going to see themes coming out of Australia next year as we have the North Node in Taurus. So how are we all doing? And do we have any questions about, you know, what those themes might be in 2022? 2022, I will say we do have Jupiter dipping back into Aries mid-year. So I am keeping an eye on that. And we do, you know, have 3 Mercury retrogrades. One of them is going to be in the house of Gemini, I believe. What else can I say about 2022? This is just a real quickie, but we will come back and I will do my predictions again. Still feeling like things are messy. Yeah, well, 12th house is, you know, and it's what we can control, but what you can't. 12th house, it depends on your zodiac sign. Because it's Pisces, you can feel as though it can affect finances, but we could have Bitcoin coming through. But it's also where we're going to be focusing on value, the environment. There can be more weather patterns. It's also the intranet. It can be lightning storms because we have Jupiter and Pisces. Yes, there can be more rain. Aquarius can bring heat, but there can be more rain. So especially for Australia. The interesting thing is we tend to have codes over here. So if there is like a natural disaster or anything to that degree in a particular location, generally speaking, there's new legislation that is generally handed down to make sure that, building codes are correct and whatnot. So not that I can legally advise you, but I can say that that is one domain that will be coming up. Building of homes can be also changing, and it will be more IT orientated. It might be more eco-friendly, one would say, definitely. It could be more solar panels and things to that degree, but they're going to be high-tech homes, high-tech, more modern homes that are going to be able to handle the environment. Yeah, well, 100%. I mean, we're born in this era, so, it is what it is. We have to move forward, and we're going to be very resourceful, but I do think we'll be extremely practical. We do say with the conjunction point that we had, with the Cancer Capricorn axis, those themes will continue to play out for both Cancer and Capricorn pretty much moving into 2024, because we're ending those cycles. But they're very changed individuals. You can even see, because we did have the energy of Capricorn coming through. The last energy of it really is in the placement of Pluto. So you can tend to find that we're really building firm foundations, but we're also understanding the need for change. So, Pluto is that very 8th house placement at the moment in Capricorn. And so it's got to be the give and take in situations. It can be a testing time at the moment, due to the fact that Libra is in China's birth chart. So you'll see themes with China on the media, with Mercury retrograde in Libra. Yes, people from the past can come back. We also need to be very vigilant about where we are and be coherent about the environments we're in. Because, we've got Venus and Mars, the planet of war, and you always get the higher and the lower octane at this point in time. So we can be really assessing our contracts. You might find at the moment that trade isn't going, as smoothly as we would like to. We can be coming back to the table with certain trade agreements and renegotiating those terms, especially with Uranus and Taurus, doing trade with certain countries. That will be coming up. But at the same time, it's trying to not get angry, not giving your power away. If something has been problematic, actually addressing it. Because with Mars, Libra likes to balance the scales. Libra can see both parties' sides of the story. Whereas Mars is like, okay, what are we going to do? So it can inflame the situation, or on the lower octane, it can get to a point it just does nothing. Tide declaring energies in the house, heaviness. Yeah, there is a lot of insects, but again, it's a full moon. It's 12th house. It's very Neptunian. It's very dreamlike. You can feel like you're in a sci-fi movie. You may feel very fatigued, very foggy, disillusioned. And again, yes, we can go into, again, controlling situations. Like I said, if there is a circumstance that's bugging you, the ascension, we deem it in the spiritual community as ascension. You can feel a little bit off, and especially because we do have, and this was the ironic thing, because I did become quite unwell the last week. The fatigue and the nausea. Because we have Venus and Scorpio, we do need to practice good PPE, because we can get cross-contamination with food, tummy bugs and things like that. Yeah, just really be careful about those sort of aspects. Mercury retrograde in Libra, for women, it can be your base chakra. Your throat chakra, caution about what you're eating. Yeah, it's a time to really rest. 12th house is resting. 12th house is, we can say, hey, go meditate. But there's always that frequency of how it directly affects our auric field. Certain zodiac signs might have that Pisces placement hitting the 6th house. That'll be, your health, your well-being, your routine. You're getting burnt out. Others of you can have that in a different location. 6th house can also be pets. So at the moment, if your dog or your cat is, acting a little bit funny or needs care, There can be things to do with pets coming up as well. What would the other thing be? And especially for, this will also affect both Virgos and Pisces. It will move. I'm telling you, it's going to move. It's temporary. It feels yuck. You feel like you're in Hades, but it will move. It's not a permanent thing. And this transit really is going to push all of us forward into more positive energy. But at the moment, how you're feeling is, we're wanting to control it. It's a little bit like if we pressed a button for play. You're going through the algorithm of the situation, moving like a weekend. We've already done that. Give it 2 to 3 days max, and each day it's going to feel better and better, and then you can implement those things. But the irony of it is you're going to have more success. So some of you are having these real tower moments where you're suddenly having to change a job. There could be conflict if you're in a karmic relationship. You're seeing these things and you're doing these steps to change it. But even that one direct inkling of what you're doing, to take those little gradual steps, because it is a full moon and we are at Mercury retrograde, we're revisiting some situations. But with that revisiting, you're going to have a deeper clarity of mind. I always feel during Mercury retrograde, there's always something I've missed, something I add to my website, some sense of service. Usually get on top of paperwork because there's something, again, I had missed. And so the devil in the detail does come through. So, because it's in the house of Libra, it might be you're not feeling so hot. You might be feeling that you want to change something outside of you. But again, remember, we're having the full moon in Pisces during Mercury retrograde in Libra. So it's more about what's going on the inside than the direct outside. We can implement those things and meditate upon them, for beauty regimes and things to that degree. If you wanted to have a haircut, go to extremities, change your wardrobe, the old metaphor, throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'd probably wait until mid-October to do such. And that can be because you will tend to have a better outcome with that situation if you choose to do such after the fact. If you can't avoid it, and it is that you have to go and have a procedure of some description, you can't delay it. If it's already set up, just do your best, but be very vigilant to, keep an eye on that situation. So say you had to go and have, surgery or something like that, you just make sure that you look after your health, keep an eye on it. During, with that transit, with astrology, what you can find is there can be things missing, something not done completely correct. The healing time can take a little bit more. So if it's avoidable, avoid it. Mars is metal, it can be sharps and things like that. It's current, but it's also heat. Temperature. Don't, if you're in a place that is summer at the moment, be careful of the sun. You may get a little bit more cooked than you thought. So just be wary of the things we're doing in a Venus element. I'd also say with socialization, the ironic thing is we're really wanting to socialize at the moment. Hi, Diva. Socialization, be really wary of your surroundings. This can be where, somebody comes to hurt you or, wants to come and have an altercation with you. We've got Pisces there, which is, it can be delusionalism. It can be somebody who's having, a psychological issue. So the funny thing is, with Mercury retrograde in Libra, and it's in a very Mars space, it can bring a malefic out. So you just need to be wary of it. And it's more just be wary during that transit, which is what, 3 weeks max? It's like just be in awareness of your environments. When you're dealing with your contracts, respect the contract. If it's something that you're outgrowing, take the steps. I mean, Mercury retrograde, ironically enough, can actually spread that resume a lot quicker. So with that, if you were saying to yourself, okay, something that is outside of my control is I hate my job. It's a reality, right? Then by putting those resumes out, spreading them wide, not having attachment to it, it's going to come back and you're going to have multiple offers. And it also can be a time we can revisit old projects in order to move forward. Had to clear at 3 a.m. Yes, that's another thing. You can get more psychic attacks. The funny thing is, there's been a lot of things popping up to do with the greys, and I've been looking at YouTube, and there's been little pop-ups even in different platforms and channels that don't really normally talk about certain things like ET and things to that degree. Hi, Stefan. So yeah, those themes that I mentioned previously can come up, but at the moment we're moving through, pay attention to some of these themes during this time. And I'm not saying they're going to be a commonality. A full moon isn't ending. It's reaching another psychological understanding. It's reaching a peak point. So that's what we're really moving into. Now, when we had Jupiter in Pisces, it was quite bright and bouncy, and we felt humanly normal. So you can see that there will be more travel happening potentially in 2022. And it'll probably start happening prior to 2022, I'd say. But we are at the end of the year going to have a Venus retrograde in the house of Capricorn. So, really reassessing that foundation. It can be some contracts coming up. So it's ironic that we are having Venus retrograde at the end of the year, because it can be a very reflective time. And only natural that after the last 2 years we would be doing such, especially if, suddenly we do have an opportunity to be with our loved ones at Christmas or New Year. It would be perfectly natural that we may assess it. But you will look at that of what you've lost, and maybe it wasn't a loss, You may look at that of what you lost and really see the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's very much Venus retrograde. You see the good, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And then you see another polarity, and then you might not feel so connected to it at the end of things. It's funny, if you're going to buy Christmas presents, buy them now. Buy them now, be very sure. But it can be, yeah, I don't know why I'm sensing this. It's almost like, because Venus retrograde is happening at Christmas, it's almost like people not liking their Christmas presents. It's great. And then, by the second week, yeah. And by the third week, well, it's too late now. You got it. It's funny how most governments are suddenly taking... Yeah, and at the moment, Libra is the justice, right? So Mercury at the moment is, that's what they guide to, obviously. That's what their hope is. And, would it really be practical to say to the collective, we don't think we're going to open up for that time? It would stir up a hornet's nest, and nobody knows. Nobody will know, There's no direct certainty with anything in life, and I think that's something with this Pisces moon we need to understand. There's never been certainty in life. The one certainty there is that the sun's going to bloody come up, but there's no certainty. So to have an expectation of a person or a company, an entity, whatever that be, their expectations, and if we're able to deliver those expectations, we'll do the very best. But we can't always do such. Obviously, from a legal point of view, there are certain things in life we have to adhere to, or there's a consequence for an action. But even then, sometimes we can't do such. Because we will have Jupiter bounce, and I think it was just prior to the Olympics, we had Jupiter dip back into Pisces, and that was where travel was opening. And Diva did get stuck in Australia. I said to a lady, you're going to get stuck. Don't go anywhere. Do you remember Diva? She came over and she got stuck here. We went back into lockdown. And it was because we had Jupiter moving out of Aquarius and back into Pisces. Yeah, no, you can't. You have to, you gotta continue living. You have to continue living. We can't live in a shell forever. That is one thing we have to realize. And yeah, another thing is there's been a lot, because I think of the North Node in Gemini, there has been a lot of propaganda. And I think the one thing that we need to realize right now is to be selective of the information you listen to. And if you've had 2.5 years to listen to all the crap out there, you have enough energy and logic to choose for yourself. You know, and I said this a few weeks ago, I would not, with certain things that I can say, I'll give you the information, but it's for you to dissect and digest and choose what's correct for you. Projection is the reflection, you know. We all have our own values and viewpoints. One thing I really have noticed, which it has really disappointed me, I must say, and it's that you really can't land on any platform without some negative comment, and I think that's very disappointing. I do see that can change next year. But yes, we can have two polarities coming up. I think with Pisces, we can have one energy coming through where, if I was to predict what could happen, one of it would be is that there can be two extremities. One extremity can be, pocket groups of very, very spiritual people. The other pocket can be codependence and substance, and there can be a growth in that domain, and that may be because somebody is needing to survive and they're trying to find a trade, but there could be the other kind of side of things where they're trying to find the balance and they're finding the deeper meaning in life, and then they're moving on to their personal purpose in life. And that, there's no shade either side, it's merely the frequency of the astrology of what it can bring through. But yes, if you've been feeling off, it's going to pass. It's not permanent. Just eat lighter foods, I would say. Eat lighter foods, eat slower. You can be getting, the nausea, it's the moon. It's the moon. Okay? And some of you can be having really wild rides right now and, go on this little rat race down the rabbit hole. It's like, I've got this great idea. Be careful how much you're doing. I mean, I've fallen into that trap. I mean, every time I do something, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea right there too. And it's all linked to the one product, but it's growing and growing and growing. And we do need to be realistic, about how much we can do. We're one. It's almost like we're gearing up to be a robot. We can't do everything. This is a time at the moment with the Pisces moon to meditate. And when I say meditate, it's like take a little bit of time to think about some of those projects. Take a little bit of time to think about yourself, rest, recoup. If something comes up, deal with it. Don't sweep things under the carpet that have been nagging at you and they've been... Give it a few days first. But if those things are due, just go and address them. Any quick questions before I love you and leave you at 4 something in the morning? So if you have any questions, about a country you're in, or you want me to do astrology based on a location, I've saved America, New Zealand. I think I saved China's chart. Australia. I have Apple's chart up, and I do have Britney Spears' chart up. Her situation at the end of the year can be extremely interesting due to the fact that her father has Capricorn in his chart. I'll put Mexico up, okay. Yeah, with that it can be pretty unique. And again, I'll have to look at her birth chart and see where Pisces is. What would you like to know, my love? What zodiac are you? Usually, well, if it's something that you're looking at and you're saying, hey, I'm feeling intuitive, Capricorn. Well, so you're connected to the moon, right? Because your Venus house, your Venus house being Cancer, would need to have a nurturer there, okay? It needs to be very loving. You can be everything, providing they can be emotionally connected. So if they're feeling disconnected, you'll be highly intuitive when it relates to your contracts and your connections. You'll be strong, but you can't be strong permanently. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like if they're very distant and aloof, it's going to agitate you. Does that make sense? Is that what's going down? Is it you I'm picking that has a person in their life with dark hair, or is this person light hair? My partner keeps calling. Oh, goodness, sorry. I'll go inside. I'll have a look at the chart. It's still a bit cold here. You've been together for 12 years. Let's see. I'm going to go down the very dark hallway and hope my daughter doesn't scream at me at this ungodly hour. She's in bed. Into the office. Bear with me. Lights, camera, action. I was like, yeah, we'll just have a quick chat. Okay. We are in the studio, which is usually where I am. Okay, like I said, your chart... What zodiac are they? I mean, I'm kind of... Does this person have dark hair? Because I'm saying this can be you or the person previously that asked a question. I'm saying one person with blonde hair. I'm saying one person with dark hair, but it was because two questions came through. I'm seeing, but I don't know why I'm picking dark hair. He's a Libra. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, Dal. Look, Libra at the moment has Mars happening in their Venus house. Okay, so there's a lot of reflection. It might be that they're really quiet. It could be that they're really meditating upon things and going inside themselves. And it's funny because Libras at the moment inside of connections, we can run the risk of being a little bit aloof. And I'll just say, and it's not that you're intending to be, it's that it's almost like the whole world's coming at you because it's first house placement. So they're they're really inside themselves and highly independent at the moment. It's through not being personal, it's not that you're being, you're wanting to do that to another energy. But at the moment, being that it's a Venus retrograde it's a Mercury retrograde reacting like a Venus retrograde. It's very reflective. Mars also is in the house there. So it's really relating to maybe our throat chakra. It can be very hot and cold. But again, it's the energy. I'm picking that this person is meditating a lot. Are you guys in the same house together? Because I feel a distance. There's a distance at the moment. Hi, sweet. Yeah, I'm almost feeling, Jessica, there's a distance. Okay, so your zodiac sign is Capricorn. Let's have a look at your chart. Well, look, it's healthy boundaries, right? And at the minute, I'm doing a bunch of education courses, and it was funny to revisit some of these things that I learned over the years, and, to kind of anchor down on, healthy boundaries. At the moment, Pisces at the moment is creating a little bit of our psychology to come up, and it's like, look, something's got to give, right? If something is coming to a head, it can be. For Capricorns, your 7th house is the moon. So each moon phase, it can be quiet. It can be either high octane or low octane, because you guys are really governed by the moon, and your shadow sign is Cancer, now Pluto will be going direct soon, and it's currently in your house, so it almost feels like everything's coming at you, everything's, falling down around. I would say from a communication sense, you're probably going to get a little bit crappy at them. It's because you have the full moon in Pisces in your third house. It's like all the things you said coming through my head, and I kind of get this vibe that you're going to throw verbal diarrhea at them and tell them where to go. And look, you can relate to it more. It could be a really great transaction in communication if you can get down to the crux of it. But I always say traffic light, okay? Red, don't react, you're mad. Yellow, what do you want the highest outcome to be? Green, then go deal with it. If you're going all fiery like a bat out of hell during Mercury retrograde, it's not going to go so well. There could be things to do with your work at the moment. You might be working too hard too. It's either you're looking for a job, you're working too hard, what you do versus what you might be doing everything, and you might just get to a point you think, look, it's just not working. But it could be you have too much on your plate. That's what I'll say. I'll love you and leave you on that one. Okay, so Alex. Does Alex also feel a double body? No. Not yet. That's okay, sweet. It'll be okay. Just, you pick what you feel is correct for you. But I would say the key to it will be speaking about your values, maybe having a chat about that, because I do feel it's almost like, it's coming through in your communication sector. The thing is, some of your daily routines and the things you're doing, if the value systems are coming up, it's kind of showing in the chart. Doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be resolved. Thomas is still kind of integrating, so he's still trying to work it out, doll. Shannon, are you able to give me any insight on growing past personal blocks and creative blocks? What are you wanting to do, sweet? What are you wanting to create? It's funny, some of us can actually say, that we're blocked at the moment. And yeah, with the South Node and Sagittarius, we had been. It was like we went back to school, and it was like, you're trying something and you're reaching these roadblocks and you're thinking, God, is this ever going to happen? I would say really moving forward, it's been like we've been in the waiting room. That's about the one way I can describe it. If it's more to do with a physical business, I would say for any of you that have businesses, to make sure you have, and it sounds crazy because yes, from a spiritual point of view, we do need to get into a space that we are more organic, we're really connecting with Earth a lot more, but you're also going to, for your businesses moving into this new age, it is going to require technology. And that's also because next year we have the North Node in Taurus. It's going to be incredibly important for you to be, either matching that market or getting to a space that you can have different ways you can create resources. Writing poetry. Well, it depends on what your purpose is, is it to gain money? Is it just to be creative? Because if it's to be creative, it's almost like if you were to turn poetry into a business, you would have to look at that niche market and look at how you could generate an income through that. And it's funny because some of us, especially on YouTube, it can be that you're doing something and you never thought in a million years you could gain money, but there's so many different ways you can do such. I coach a lot of people, within their businesses and give them different ideas and tips, which at a different stage I will. to inspire others and to help others through their own darkness. So it could be like soul coaching. You know, sometimes, you know, musicians, for instance, is a little bit like soul coaching, isn't it? Because we will actually listen to a song and it will evoke a feeling, and that feeling will directly transform us. So, you know, you're looking again, Pisces. So it's not that you're on the wrong track. It's that you're trying to look at how you can feed that market through your language of help, through your language of love. And that potentially could be one way that you could do such. And it could be quotes on Instagram, with additional services. It could be chat services where, you know, you're just relating to that person and just being somebody maybe that you can share your personal experience, and you can maybe build courses based on it. Does that make sense? So the blocks are 90% of the time. The reason we have blocks is because, well, and especially now, Pisces, 12th house, the creative resources. The shadow of Pisces is Virgo, is the monkey mind. No, it's got to be perfect. No, I need to think about that a little bit more. And then add Mercury retrograde into that mix. And that's a lot of thought, okay? So usually it's a little bit like a garden. You're like, oh, I'm going to plant that tree there. You know, my father used to do this. There you go. So it's like move into the Pisces, trust the process, let go. Stop thinking that tunnel is all poetry. It could be poetry that moves into 101 other things. They're called sundries, you know, so just trust it. But just look at what your purpose is, what you're, you know, what, like I said, what you're wanting to get out of that. That's your mission statement. And then you build your business around your mission statement. And then we don't lose sight, you know, because we can jump on media and get accidentally dragged into ego. And the ego can be, I just want to get some hits on a post. And it's like, no, but it's for business. It's for the service of that client. You've got to come back to the humanistic reality of why you're wanting to do that particular process, if you understand what I'm saying. I hope I'm not talking rubbish. I hope you get what I'm saying. But yeah, if you need help, come through to the website and I can give you a hand and we can break down your chart. We can look at different ways you can do that. I can give you some business tips. Okay. We talked about me starting business around home. There you go, Nadine. I'm glad. Yeah, it'll usually show it in your chart, and, you know, you can look at different things. How you doing, Leo Nix? Oh, thanks, sweet. Yeah, usually, and again, you know, when we had Cancer and Capricorn axis, it did push us into going into hermit mode during what's happening in the world now. And so we did have to, during this time, we're needing to look at ways we can create different streams of income. Especially next year. Especially next year. You know? Yes, I will. I'll be on the membership hub this morning. I just wanted to jump on and have a quick chat with the predictions. So I'm going to love yous and leave yous. I may also, after the live session, if you're interested, comment on this video and I can come back for super chats a bit later as well if you want them. So love and light. I'll come to you with more predictions of what I can see coming. But yes, very interesting time coming through. Love and light.